I've just come to the end of a learning journey that started in September last year, and I enrolled on the Polyvagal certificate course, and that has now come to a close, and I was just finishing off today final reflective prompts from the last module, and just bringing everything to a resolution as a learning journey. And so I wanted to reflect on that just whilst it is fresh, and to acknowledge the achievement of having been inside of a process and a container that kind of took me through the winter months. And I always think it's really good to have an anchor and a focus for the darker months. Definitely it's supportive for me to have something that I'm kind of I'm gestating something, or I'm chewing on a topic, and it's been really enriching to learn from different practitioners, different applications of this work, and throughout as well, just having reflective prompts that are centered around practices and invitations to explore practices, but then also just thinking about, how is this expressing itself in my life, and what are the things that I'm doing, and finding new frames and new ways of considering on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, what's coming up for me, and how is my nervous system communicating with me, and am I actually meeting it and giving it permission to be heard and felt, and allowing it. So I've got a big book now of reflections and insights, which is invaluable, and that's been really something that's enhanced my reflective practice. I think it's always nice to have something out with your immediate frame of reference that is invitational, and just even in the use of different language, or having someone ask you a question, and my temperament and part of my kind of learning processing style is that I'm definitely a responder. So that's a really good format for me to integrate things and also explore new ideas in a reflective process. And the other thing that's been really good about this is, one of the main motivations, aside from already being curious about this work, having been introduced to it through my own therapeutic engagement, and immediately finding resonance with that, that I felt like I wanted to have the experience of stepping into a learning container that had been designed in such a way that it was really carefully constructed around the principles of safety, and how to make that space welcoming and inclusive and invitational, not just because that's always a helpful reference point for how you are structuring and designing your own invitations to others, to have a kind of template of lived experience of what that actually feels like. But from a kind of relational repair point of view as well, I kind of was ready to begin to explore being in that like shared community space again, and saw this as an opportunity to be able to stretch my capacity gently, and also for it to be kind of time restricted. So the fact that it was in a container and a learning journey over, a set number of months, and the fact that I was kind of documenting my processing throughout as well, they were all anchor points then for me to be able to really understand on a week to week basis, like, how am I feeling about this invitation to like be in a space with other people and to receive other people's energy, and to hold space for other people in a different way, and also alongside that to be doing that for myself as well, and to be allowing myself to receive that same care and attention and witnessing from others. And I think when you've had any experience in your life where there's been damage in that sense to the relational sense of trust, when there's been a fracture there, it's moving back into experiences that are actually joyful or nurturing or nourishing, that can be some of the most challenging. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So that was definitely a personal kind of motivation for me, on that kind of therapeutic strand. And then also from the kind of research perspective as well, just to be able to have that opportunity to step into a shared learning space with lots of other people from really quite different disciplines, and to receive their insights, from their niche specialisms, from, other disciplines in their own right, but then also the expansion of maybe where there is potential for crossover or integration of some of the principles from the polyvagal stuff. So it has been obviously interesting to kind of come to the end of this, just as the topic of polyvagal theory has kind of, that space has become very busy in the last few weeks. So that's also given me the opportunity to set aside time specifically to be like, okay, let's go back into the primary sources and the literature, and kind of go on like a journey within a journey of reading the current criticisms and responses to criticisms, and trying to kind of digest that and process that in a way that felt, like I could make time for and capacity for, to be able to kind of chew on those things, and to try not to get pulled into the busyness of the online space, with such a wide variety of opinion, which, sometimes that can be thought-provoking, but sometimes it can be counterproductive to your own sense of how you're working through information, trying to be pragmatic and actually trying to come to critical thinking from a place of like, okay, I first need to acknowledge like where my bias lies, or what lens am I coming to engage with information from the offset, because it's very difficult to be neutral in the online space when there's so much information there that is actively constructed and designed in a way to try and grab your attention and to kind of pull you into an emotional reactive response, and pick any topic that has been trending, in the last month, and it's the same kind of formula. So trying to hold that awareness of that, reality, but then also the awareness of like present moment stuff, what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you feel about it, then the kind of future lens of maybe coming back to like intentions of what has drawn you to something in the first instance, and what direction of travel you are willing to continue to explore based on the new knowledge and information you have. So it's been quite an interesting month, this past month. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this process. I've really enjoyed the people that I've met along the way. I feel very grateful for the opportunities to connect with other people, and also to be able to be in receipt of support and also in service to others, by actually having a space where people can draw from that wellspring of knowledge, peer support, witnessing, very, very powerful. So yeah, from an educational design perspective, the way that course was structured, I couldn't have asked for anything better. It really brought up quite a lot for me in terms of remembering learning experiences from early years education, and I had quite a hard time actually in my school years, especially in high school, really kind of brushing up against structures of education that just didn't feel that they met my needs, or they didn't kind of cater to my sense of safety, really. And that as a foundation for everything else is really a foundation for flourishing. So there's definitely been kind of old memories and things being stirred up, of thinking about like, yeah, that wasn't great, was it? But feeling also the experiences that you have, especially the difficult ones, we have this need to find alternatives, and we have this drive to kind of survive, and we have this appetite for like, okay, I want to move beyond this survival into thriving territory. And that takes you to the edge of innovation, where you're kind of like trying to creatively problem solve, or trying to find things that feel like they might satisfy that desire that you have. So in a funny kind of way, without the experiences that I've had in my life, including definitely some pretty significant traumas, I wouldn't necessarily have found myself engaging with a course like this, or choosing to dedicate time, energy, financial resource to make that commitment. So it's funny how these things kind of work out, and funny how we are led to opportunities to find healing, and find support, and find community. So those are my reflections that are kind of obviously still processing in real time, and definitely things that are kind of landing as well. I am keen and curious to continue engaging in this work, but the nature of what I do, which is holistic voice work, the clue in the name, it is multidisciplinary, it is multifaceted, it is not limited to one viewpoint or one perspective, and yeah, that is kind of the philosophy that I take, or that I approach any framework with. And so yeah, this is like one facet or aspect of it, this kind of crossover or intersection of where I can see my work kind of engaging or interacting with this. So of course I'm very happy to yeah, if you have questions about that, then that's emerging for me and expanding for me as I practice in my own time, as I continue to do more wider reading and study. I'm always chipping away on that, like continued professional development stuff, either in the background or like in a very obvious tangible way by like doing something like this, and deciding to do a course. And yeah, I've been doing quite a lot of the extracurricular learning for an extended period now. So there's definitely the next phase is kind of about integration, exploration, application. And then of course the reflection stuff is built into every part of that chain and that process. But yeah, as I say, if you have been kind of keeping up to date with what I've been up to, what's going on with the business, services that we're offering, and you're curious about this, or you want to learn more, then reach out to me and ask about that, as ever with anything else as well. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what the next stage and the next chapter with this is. But yeah, it's been really good, and yeah, you can probably hear and feel that in my sense of energy and satisfaction with having come to the end of a process. And yeah, it's a good timing as well, as we're just coming into spring and I feel like things are about to take off at great speed. So yeah, I'll catch up with you all soon, and yeah, stay tuned for more updates.